Hey everybody, welcome back. This week was really super intense and I've got a lot of stuff to share with you guys. It started off pretty simple, building some tools, making a bender and making a chop saw and a bandsaw out of the tools that I have. Found a great deal on Marketplace, more on that later. And I also attended Snow Jam 2025, had a little bit of off-road fun. Enough of the teasing, let's just get into it. First up is my porta bandsaw. I had made a half-hearted attempt earlier this month to try and make a chop saw out of this thing, as you can see, but I lacked a few key components that I remedied during this. Most notably was a missing vise. There was no way to secure any metal onto the plate that I've got there, so I fixed that with a few bolts, a little bit of grinding, and a vise that I had laying around. Next was the bandsaw portion of this. I had some stock aluminum laying around, so after a little bit of hemming and hawing and deciding on how exactly to do this, I decided to just mark the holes with some tape, found the spots where they were in. I did have to drill and tap new holes as the porta band was damaged when I got it, and those holes were stripped out. After a lick of paint and a little bit of time to dry, I started reassembling this all back together. As with everything in my garage, especially with tools, everything's a bit of a compromise. Since I have such limited square footage and space to work in, I have to combine all my tools. And this was a good combination. There are just a few trade-offs that I make. One, you can't use the bandsaw and the chop saw at the same time. It requires the removal of these two screws before you're able to put anything in the vise and chop it. After a quick test and a verification that everything worked as intended, it was time to move on to the next project. With my newfound ability to stitch together aluminum and various other sheet metals, a sheet metal bender became a high priority item on my needed tools list. I was able to grab a couple of necessary components from the Jungle website, and as usual, found some great scrap metal at my local metal supplier, and used that to make a sheet metal bender on my rolling cart. You may remember this cart from previous videos when I do the garage renovation. If not, go check those videos out, they're really cool. I think this sheet metal bender design is pretty simple. It's only got a couple of components. It's made out of angle iron and a couple of hinges, so there's not a whole lot going on here, but there are some tricky things that I learned along the way. Yeah, it probably goes without saying that, welding real-life metal together is nothing like welding the coupons together. That was apparently a surprise for me this week. But with maintaining, the discipline of cleaning everything and getting everything fixtured up correctly and all of the supporting rules of TIG welding that I've learned over the last 3 weeks, I was able to make this part fairly accurately and fairly smoothly. I had a few oopsies. Most of them had to do with getting the hinges a little bit out of alignment after things warped, but it turned out okay. The next day I headed out to Morton, Washington, which was a beautiful drive, and I was going to pick up a Bronco topper that I found on Marketplace. It had the glass fully intact. The truck it came off of was in sad shape, but for me, this is going to suit my purposes as I cracked mine when I rolled the Bronco on its maiden voyage back in April 23. You should go check that video out too. The poor truck that this topper came off of was buried in blackberry bushes for years, so it needed a little bit of a cleanup. With a little bit of high pressure water and some satisfying footage, I was able to determine that the shell was largely intact. It even had the headliner still in it, the glass was uncracked, and all of the surrounding rubber was in good shape. It wasn't great, but as good considering where it came from and considering it sat outside for so many years. And just of note, some things that I found were these two little bumps in the back. These, I think, are going to be pretty easily repairable with some over-the-counter Bondo fiberglass filler. I may have to lay up some fiberglass, but that's something I've been able to do for a long time, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Everything's straight, it's fairly clean now, and it looks like it's going to be a good match for the Bronco. And for the second road trip of the week, I headed out to nearby Elbe. I believe that's how you say it. Elbe? I don't know. It's beautiful. I was headed out to join the Snow Jam 2025, which is a fantastic fundraiser for the local Lions Club for this off-roading group, and it's just a whole bunch of fun. Normally, I think this trail is supposed to be covered in snow, but unfortunately, it just hasn't snowed here in Washington very much. But regardless, it was a blast. There were a ton of really fun people that came out to participate in the event, lots of really unique vehicles, and I got to even shake down the Bronco, something that I haven't done very much since I've owned it. Ironically, I put in all this work to the Bronco, and I just really don't drive it that much. And I realized that a few weeks back, saw the opportunity pop up on my feed, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that. So taking things slow, but I did try and stretch its legs a little bit. I got into some uncomfortable situations, nothing a pro would even, think twice about, but I'm not a pro, I'm just some guy. This is like the second time this vehicle's been off-road with me, the first time it rolled over, so I took it a little easy. And after getting my fill of sketchy driving, I went to the event. It was hosted by County Line Off-Roaders. And special shout out to them for putting this really awesome raffle and prize and game system on. It was a lot of campy, cheesy, silly, family-oriented fun. It was really great. There were just characters everywhere. Everybody was just who they are. It was a come-as-you-are crowd, and I really appreciated them all for it. I had a great time, guys. Thank you. And finally, after a long week of road tripping and driving around, I realized I don't have a cup holder, so it's time to do some cardboard assisted design, or CAD, and I'll be remedying that situation next weekend. I hope I see you there. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, it's free, it just helps the algorithm and helps other people find this channel. I appreciate y'all for coming. Take care, and I'll see you next weekend.